What's going on, guys? It's Mdog5. Welcome back to another video. Now today I'm going to be ranking both the specials and the subs in Splatoon 2 from worst to best. And you know, I'm doing both of these because we got to get it done before Splatoon 3 comes out. So make sure you like the video if you're hyped for Splatoon 3. Without any further ado, let's jump right into the video. So the worst special in the game is most definitely the Brawler. Now, the Brawler is just very slow, despite the fact that Nintendo advertised it as something that was fairly mobile. In the reveal trailer, we saw that it was able to climb up walls and ink in a trail, and it could explode unsuspecting players. Like, first of all, there's absolutely no way you're sneaking around with this Brawler. Two, again, it's so slow that people will not have a hard time getting around you. Even the least mobile weapons can evade the Brawler fairly easily. If not, it's also a pretty easy special to either cancel or force the player to explode their Brawler prematurely in hopes of not being broken out of their Brawler and to just become completely vulnerable and helpless. The only thing that a Brawler is really good for is to secure a zone that is already in the midst of being captured. Also, another downside about the Brawler is that unlike every other exploding special or special that causes an explosion, it actually doesn't nullify enemy bombs. So for instance, if someone were to throw a suction bomb or a splat bomb down at someone who's using a booyah bomb or a splashdown, the booyah bomb and the splashdown is going to break those bombs, rendering it useless. But somebody can put a suction bomb down or a splat bomb down right next to the Brawler, and when it explodes, the bomb will still be intact. So the player who is now outside of their Brawler is susceptible to that damage. Yeah, it's honestly a really fucking stupid special, very weak. I don't fuck with it whatsoever. Coming in at number 10, you have the Ultra Stamp. Now the Ultra Stamp, unless you're really close to somebody or you know how to exploit with the Ultra Stamp, it's a really slow special. It's really not an ideal special at all. It's very slow and it's extremely hard to control. Even if you are good with the Ultra Stamp, it's still a bitch to try to control. This special honestly controls you more than you will ever control it, to be completely honest, man. I mean, you can throw it, but I mean, that's not really a huge plus. Coming in at number 9, we have the Stingray. Now, I know what you're thinking, okay? Professional players hate the Stingray because it's so overpowered. Stingrays are like, I get it. If you are a good player, the Stingray can be a good special. It can also be annoying in maps like Walleye Warehouse, or if you're in the middle of a narrow path and you don't really have anywhere else to go, then yes, the Stingray can do some damage. If you aren't the Rainmaker or if you aren't on the tower, however, I really don't see you dying to a Stingray that is below pro level. Also, you would have to be extremely lucky to get more than one kill with the Stingray, no matter what level you are playing as. I mean, the Stingray takes, what, like 7 hits to kill somebody? It takes a good amount of its active lifetime to kill a single opponent. And not only that, but the Stingray is very counterintuitive. Because of math and how the Stingray works, the farther back you are, the easier it is to cover more ground with the Stingray, with the lesser amount of effort being put on you as the player to move it around with the joystick. That's counterintuitive because you kind of want to be present in the game. So once you're done with the Stingray, you're either going to have to super jump or physically travel back to the objective at hand, and at that point you really are leaving your team at a 3v4, 2v4, 1v4 situation. But let's say if I wanted to use the Stingray close, and if I still am present along with my teammates, if somebody flanks you, there's nothing you can do. I hope that there's ink around you that's yours so you can try to escape, but that's your ass if you get caught lacking Coming in at number 8 is the Splashdown. Now, yes, it can be used aggressively. Yes, it does have killing potential, but it is by far the easiest special to cancel. So I think everybody has had the low-level Splatoon 2 experience where you're in the middle of the gunfight, the opponent gets scared when you're winning, and then they jump up and splash down you when they're 1 HP, and they end up killing you. And then, you know, once you got a little bit better at the game, you realize, oh, I can shoot this person when they are splashed down. They're not invincible. Yeah, exactly. So I'd say once you're in X rank, maybe definitely like a 2200 X power lobby, it's basically a 50-50 chance that you won't get killed when you're using this special. It's kind of ridiculous. Like, I want to be able to use this special without there being a 50-50 probability of me dying in the middle of it. That's kind of crazy when you think about it. Number 7, I have the Ink Storm. Now, I put this kind of lower than one would expect because depending on the map, on like a bigger map, let's say if someone has like a fully controlled zone, the enemy has a fully controlled zone, and you put an Ink Storm above that zone, the zone isn't even going to get into your possession. It's a good assisting special. It's really good at painting for you so that you have an advantage in turf, if that makes sense. It helps you, but you also have to help it as a special. You know what I'm saying? Number 2 is if the opponent isn't in immediate danger or has anything above 50 HP, realistically, the Ink Storm doesn't pose much of a threat to them whatsoever. Number 6 is the Inkjet. Now, when I was first playing this game back in 2017, 2018, this was easily the worst special in my opinion. I hated the Inkjet. It was annoying. You can hit people blatantly and still nothing would happen. Sometimes it would feel like, and that is actually the case. If you don't hit someone directly, then yeah, it's not really a good special. But if you are good with the Inkjet and you know how to use it to your benefit, like playing Port Mackerel for instance and getting really high up to an extent where no one can really shoot you down, and you are good at estimating where opponents are going to end up based on their trajectory, then yeah, this special really is good, especially if you're playing Rainmaker. It's one of the few specials in the game that, you know, its usefulness depends on the skill level of the person that's using it. So if you aren't good with the Inkjet, then I can definitely see how this is a lower tier special. But once you start fighting good players with the Inkjet and, you know, they can kill you before you can shoot them down and stuff like that, despite the lack of mobility, then yeah, your opinion on the Inkjet is definitely going to change. Coming in at number 5 are the launchers. Surprisingly, the Splat Bomb launcher is pretty fucking, like, not that good. I mean, I really don't know why. I barely use it, but I feel like it's because of the weapons that it's coupled with, and a lot of people don't really capitalize off of it, and it is kind of surprising because Splat Bombs are really good in this game. Auto Bomb launchers is just mayhem, you know, but I mean, at the end of the day, people can get around them pretty easily. Burst Bomb launcher is very scary to be in the middle of, and it has a lot of killing potential, but if you're out of the way, then it really doesn't pose much of a threat. Now, Curling Bomb launchers are kind of deadly because not only is it good for turfing, but it can also force the player to get out of the way, you know? It causes extreme displacement. And of course, you have the Suction Bomb launcher. Just, yeah. Do I have to say anything? It's definitely the best out of the launchers. Now, sure, some of these launchers are below some of these specials, obviously, if you wanted me to individualize all of these launchers as their own specials, but as a whole, I think that bomb launchers can be more useful than all of these below it. It has good killing potential, they have good turf potential, and they have good displacement potential. The only problem that I see with launchers is that they're really expensive. I think like a lot of them are in the 200s, 210 points. That's really expensive. Number 4, Bubble Blower. Now, if you don't know how to use this and you just go 1, 2, 3 bubbles, then yeah, it's kind of not the best special. But let's say if you're a Foil Squeezer main or a Kenza Splattershot Junior main and you actually know how to use the Bubble Blowers coupled with the bombs, then I mean, this has a lot of killing potential and it has a lot of painting potential. Not only that, but it's securance, right? You and your teammates can hide and move through the ink that it generates, you know? And with a lot of SPU, I mean, bro, this special can go crazy. Number 3 is Booyah Bomb. I mean, there isn't much to say unless there's like 2 people shooting at you at once. You're not really gonna be canceled out of the Booyah Bomb. I mean, I guess you have to be careful of, you know, people that will throw suction bombs, splat bombs at you right under you so that it'll go off the second you land. But I mean, the Booyah Bomb, it's decent on painting, but it really does secure whatever you're trying to throw it at, whether it be the zone, whether it be the tower, and it does serve as that extra step in turning around the game, pretty much. Number 2, we have Armor. I mean, I really don't have to explain why Armor is crazy. You know, you literally just turf a bunch of ink and then every single person on your team has an additional 100 health. I think I could do some research and correct myself if I'm wrong, but I mean, come on. And number 1 is the Tenta missiles, one of the most hated specials in the game, because I mean, what can't you do with this special? I mean, this is what happened the last time I used a Tenta missile. I mean, come on now. Its displacement potential is out of this world. There's literally no way that this won't displace the enemy. It has universal range, meaning that it targets from anywhere despite your opponents being hidden behind a wall, despite them being across the map. Yeah, and the further back you are, the more likely you are to target everybody. The missiles in and of itself aren't that powerful unless you are like surrounded by missiles, or you get caught up in your teammates' missiles, or one lands directly on you. And to be honest, they aren't that difficult to dodge. The main problem that I think is that this reveals enemy positions to the player, and of course the missiles will show up on the map to not only the person that is being targeted and their teammates, but also to the enemy team. And that gives the enemy team a good understanding on where the opponents are. And that, I think, is a really, really broken aspect of the missiles. And also, they aren't the most expensive special to get, so it's really spammable, which is why this is at number 1. All right, here's the list. And now that we have gotten the specials out of the way, we're going to move on to subs or bombs. All right, so now we're going to get into the sub weapons. And at number 13, I have the Ink Mine because, oh my gosh, it's pretty much useless. It's a point sensor that is stationary basically, and someone has to either shoot its position or swim over it. Now, I will admit, it's annoying after you kill a Hydra Splatling and or an E-Leader, but other than that, it's useless. I mean, there's the point sensor, which is right above it at number 12. Obviously, you can point out enemies to the entire team, but I feel like a lot of people don't really capitalize off of it. The only reason why it's above Ink Mine, let me just say this, is that it's because it's more mobile. At least the Ink Mine produces a little bit of ink when it goes off, right? Not like Splatoon 1, but just a little bit. But I mean, to have this point sensor as your sub, it takes up an entire subspace and it does nothing. You know, I really feel like teammates don't capitalize off of an enemy being marked. If you already see an opponent, then why do you need the point sensor? Like, do you get what I'm saying? At number 11, we have the Sprinkler. And really, if you use the Sprinkler like a sprinkler, you're slow, okay? You don't literally use the Sprinkler to negate enemy turf. Like that's just silly, okay? You use a sprinkler, you place it down directly in front of you when you're a Hydra, or sorry, not a Hydra, when you're a Splatling or some other weapon, a 96 gal, whatever you're using, right? You place a sprinkler in front of you so that it acts as like a tiny little shield, right? The person that's shooting at you has to get rid of the sprinkler before shooting at you, you know, unless they're at a very specific angle. Its intended purpose is utterly useless, so that's why it's so low on this list. Number 10 is the Fizzy Bomb. Now, it requires entirely too much effort to even execute for the amount of usefulness it has. The Fizzy Bomb, I mean, yeah, you can kill somebody with it, but I mean, just the way that it acts, you know, if the opponent simply moves to the side, sure, it paints a little bit moderately, you know, in the bursts, but the only time you really get a kill with the Fizzy Bomb is if the opponent has literally nowhere else to go and they take 2 or 3 hits. Like, number 9 is Ink Poison, and it is useful because, you know, obviously, you know, you have the Nautilus in the game, and if you can cut off, you know, that mobility, they're pretty much fucked, especially with their charge. But not only that, not only does it provide you with audio, but it also de-incentivizes players from going anywhere in the ink unless, you know, it's important, unless the situation is outstanding, like, oh, we're about to get the lead on tower control or something of that nature. It really de-incentivizes the player to go in the ink because, yeah, it's really lethal, you know? You can't really move and you're not gonna get ink recovery while you're in the poison. All right, coming in at number 8, you have the Torpedo. Now, the torpedo is really used as a deterrent because, I mean, if you die to a torpedo, you are either in a dire position to where you really couldn't escape, or I don't know, you're below the rank of B or something. I feel like torpedoes are really easy to like shoot down. Yeah, it's pretty instant, depending on the weapon you're using, of course. They're more annoying on the receiving end, you know what I mean? But you don't use a torpedo to kill somebody, you know what I mean? You use a torpedo to proceed your Kenza rapid blaster shots, or use a torpedo to try to aggress when you're using the Dapple Dually so you don't get outranged. You know, that's what you use a torpedo for. Curling Bomb, number 7. The Curling Bomb is pretty good. You can finesse it to be a close range bomb or, you know, a long range bomb. It's really good for mobility and it's really good for creating a trail, you know? So in a sense, I guess it's decent at inking, you know? But really, you use it for mobility when you're using a short range weapon like the Sploosh. And again, you can use it, you can finesse it to, you know, go close range. You know, it's really rare that the Curling Bomb forces a player to back up rather than going to the side or just evading it altogether. And it's also really rare that you're going to get a kill with the Curling Bomb. It's really just used for your convenience, to be honest. Number 6 is the Burst Bomb. The Burst Bomb is nice and quick. If you have good ink consumption gear on, or gear that protects you from high ink consumption, and you can use 2 of these and then following up with, you know, an attack from your main weapon, and, you know, that can be lethal. People like to use, you know, the Burst Bomb aggressively, but as you get higher in rank, you know, you're gonna start using it to ink around you, below your feet. So it creates like that radius, and, you know, you just use it for movement and getting, you know, around the map, on walls. I mean, use it aggressively when you need to, definitely. That's just one half of it though. Number 5 is the Beacon. Now, if the player who's using the Beacon knows a good spot to put the Beacon on, it can be game changing. My teammates, you know, don't really take advantage of them, but, you know, it's really good. It's a really good and I think essential part of the game. Number 4, we have auto bombs, and the only time you really die to an auto bomb is if you don't hear it coming. The reason why I have this so high is because of its displacement potential. I really think that it's second to the antenna missiles that, you know, the auto bomb really is the strongest displacement tool in the game, you know? Sometimes it brings the opponent in places you didn't really intend for the opponent to move, because it's slow, but the opponent's like trapped somewhere, or they genuinely don't see or hear the auto bomb coming, then that is its ass. But sometimes it's obviously really fucking annoying to die to an auto bomb, but I like the addition. I like the concept, and I like how it was executed in Splatoon 2, in all honesty. Number 3, we have the splash wall. Now the worst thing about the splash wall is that you are on the other side of your splash wall, and the opponent throws a bomb at it and it explodes on the splash wall. That counts as bomb radius, so you can easily die, and that's I love giving Kenza52 gals exactly what they deserve by throwing a bomb at their splash wall and killing them. But other than that, you know, the splash wall pretty much has, you know, little to no weaknesses. It allows for the weapons that it is used with extra time, which is why the Kenza52 gal, a quick killing weapon already, is so much more hated because it has the splash wall and it gives the player extra time to kill you, you know? Coming in at number 2, we have the Splat Bomb. Now, this is the main bomb in the game, just a default bomb, and I like it because of its killing potential and because of its mobility. It's quick, you know, you throw it down, it explodes a good amount, you know, and you can also, in some instances, use it as turf to ink. I like it. It's your general use bomb, and it's actually very, very useful. And at number 1, we have the Suction Bomb, and it's basically like a stationary splat bomb. Now, number 1, you have the Suction Bomb because of its ability to stall. So you have the Suction Bomb, you throw it down, it sticks to an area, and from the second that it sticks, from the second it explodes, the opponent knows not to go in that area. So you can really forestall a lot of areas. It stalls for you, you know, very lethal, you know, the same as the Splat Bomb, you know, but again, it just has the ability to stall and hold down its area of radius, you know, before it explodes. Anyways, guys, that's the video. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, show some support. I love you all, and I'll catch you later. Good game, good game, good game. So now I need to go back and edit my thumbnail. Yeah, you guys will see later. Splatoon 3 training room. What the f? How about waiting room?